The opinions and views expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of HTT Media Group. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, lovelies, and thanks again for tuning in to Listen Closely. If you haven't already, please follow me on Facebook, where I'll be posting all things related to the topics of each episode, as well as merchandise and many other different things. So, without further ado, please sit back, relax, and listen closely. Hello, lovelies, and welcome back for episode 9. We are doing our very first true crime. Excited?
Yeah.
So, everybody knows I wasn't doing just ghosts and the unexplainable and stuff like that. I am actually also doing a couple true crimes, but I kind of steered away from it for a little bit to kind of figure out how I wanted to go about doing them. So, this is actually the very first one of the entire show. Hopefully, it's a good one. And if y'all know of any other true crimes you want me to cover, in this area, I am starting out, but if you happen to know of one that I should probably cover anywhere in Texas or local Louisiana or anything, definitely let me know. But this one is of Kimberly Clark Saenz. Ever heard of her?
No.
She is actually one of Texas's serial killers, women. So that's kind of, it's not cool. Obviously, don't be a serial killer. PSA. But, so we're going to real quickly go over a little bit about her. She was born Kimberly Clark Fowler on November 3rd, 1973 in Fall River, Massachusetts. She had a couple of different jobs around there. She was fired at least 4 times from healthcare jobs. Now, I want you to remember that, John, because that's going to come up a little bit later.
What do you mean by healthcare? Like CNA, RN, what?
She was a nurse.
A nurse. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So she had a little bit of trouble there. And eventually she found her way to Lufkin, Texas in 2007. Side note, she is married, or was married, to a Mark Kevin Saenz. That's how she got her last name.
Okay.
And she had 2 young children. Now, Mark did file for divorce in 2007 and obtained a restraining order against Kimberly. And again, this is 2007, so they just came to Lufkin. And this kind of happened. And in fact, she was arrested for public intoxication and criminal trespass after a 2007 domestic disturbance with her husband. So things were not going great between those two. But they did reconcile 2 years later. So 2009, they, I guess, kind of made up a little bit. And she did have those 2 young children. Obviously, no names or anything is going to be given out for them.
Right.
Not only does the internet not tell me because they were minors, but I will never give that out.
Right.
So she had a little bit of a checkered past that I want to real quickly go over. So one of the jobs she got fired from the healthcare work was at Woodland Heights Hospital. She was caught stealing Demerol. It was actually found in her handbag.
Okay.
And she was cheating on a urine test. So she kind of had some stuff in her system, and she didn't want anybody to find out. She overused prescription drugs. She abused substance and had an addiction problem, as well as she would falsify information on employment applications.
Okay. So, real quick, I looked up why she would be stealing Demerol, and I found out what Demerol actually is.
Yes.
So, it's kind of like morphine.
Mm-hmm.
It's used to treat symptoms of moderate to severe pain.
Right.
So,
but I mean, she had an addiction problem. So
right.
Yes, she wanted it for that high.
Right.
But I mean, she was probably just trying to get whatever she could.
Right.
It's just at that time they caught her with the Demerol.
Right. Okay.
So let's get to her coming to Lufkin.
Yeah.
And the events happening at Davita, which is a Lufkin dialysis clinic.
Which is still kind of local because Lufkin's what, an hour and a half away?
Yeah, that's
so,
kind of why I chose this one.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
It's close enough. She was an entry-level licensed vocational nurse for Davita's. So in 2008, the clinic happened to be spiking in the patients falling ill during treatment. Now, obviously, they're dialysis, so they're going in for treatment for cancers and things like that. Obviously, those dialysis treatments are already harsh as it is.
Right.
But, they're usually pretty, I don't want to say painless, but nobody falls sick from them.
Right.
I mean, other than, your typical tiredness
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
But there was a spike in falling seriously ill. In fact, the paramedics got called several times and actually doubled the number of calls in the past year.
Wow, it's showing here 30 times.
Right.
Just in April.
And that's where this is going.
Hmm.
The patients suffered anything from cardiac arrest to chest pains and things like that. When the first 16 ended up getting sick, the director, like the people in charge, they were like, hey, something's happening. We don't understand what's happening. We need the health department to come figure it out.
Right.
So he wrote a letter and pled for an investigation from the health department. And within days, the surveyors arrived. And at this time, 16 patients had been transported for illnesses. When they arrived, 30 emergency calls had been made in that month.
Wow.
With 7 cardiac arrests already happening and 4 deaths at that point. Which one account said that they only had 2 calls within the previous 15 months. So from 2 to 30.
Yeah.
Something's happening.
Yeah. Somebody's not doing something right.
Right.
Yeah.
So an investigation obviously happened. The health department wanted to know what exactly was happening. Why is it that all of a sudden these patients are just falling super, super ill? Well, during their investigation, they found that Kimberly was on duty for 84% of the instances where patients suffered chest pain or cardiac arrest. They quickly, kind of figured out, hey, something's not sitting right. Why is this lady here for 84% of the time than anybody else? Like, something's not adding up here.
Right.
And on April 28th, 2 patients actually said that they did not feel well, and 2 others reported that they had seen Kimberly inject bleach into tubing used in the dialysis, therefore poisoning them by injecting that bleach into the bloodstream.
Wow.
And real quickly, I just want to pause because I do want to pay my respects for the victims and give you a little bit of a timeline. So on April 1st, Clara Strange and Thelma Metcalf both had cardiac arrests. On April 16th, Garland Kelly had a cardiac arrest and died 2 days later in the hospital. Also on April 16th, Graciela Casaneta lost consciousness during her treatment. On April 22nd, Cora Bryant went under cardiac arrest and died 3 months later. April 23rd, Marie Bradley had suffered from severe drop in blood pressure. April 26th, Opal Few, cardiac arrest. April 26th, Deborah Oates had multiple symptoms and included a severe drop in blood pressure. April 28th, Marva Roan, severe drop in blood pressure again. April 28th was another severe drop of blood pressure, and that was of Carolyn Risinger.
And note that not all these people died.
No, not all of them died.
Yes.
And this is just giving you a kind of timeline. So from April 1st to April 28th, how many?
So that's 27 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And there were 10 people.
Yeah. It shows here that the victims were 10, 5 killed, 5 attempted.
Yes.
So
we're going to get into that a little bit.
Man.
They didn't understand. They knew she had something to do with it. And then those 2 other patients said, hey, we kind of saw something fishy. It looked like she was injecting bleach into the dialysis machine.
That's crazy.
Kimberly Saenz, who had held her entry-level position as a licensed vocational nurse for 8 months, was sent home and then fired the next day. Those 2 eyewitnesses testified that they again saw Saenz draw bleach into syringes and inject the substance into 2 patients' dialysis line. So they already have 2 pretty credible eyewitnesses. The FDA confirmed that samples linked to some victims tested positive for bleach, while others showed bleach may have been present at one time.
Wow.
And obviously you don't just have bleach in your system.
Right, yeah.
Or say at one time. That doesn't happen. The Lufkin law enforcement testified that they arrested Saenz for that public intoxication and criminal trespass with her husband. And the prosecutor, Clyde Harrington, believed there were more than 10 victims of this, but unfortunately, they could only bring charges up of 10 because they could only go 2 weeks prior to April 28th. So there was inadequate evidence to raise further indictments against Kimberly and other incidences.
Right, and knowing a little bit about, I have a friend that's a nurse, and knowing about this, so if somebody ever puts like a PICC line, which, you know, I don't know if you know what a PICC line is, but it's where they, you know, pull stuff into you and draw blood from, stuff like that. If they put that into you, if it's after use, those lines are thrown away. Right. Like, so there's no way it could have been washed or anything like that. It was just she did what she did.
Yeah.
Like, so wow.
So during the trial, her lawyer said she had no motive to kill. Kimberly was a good nurse, a compassionate, a caring individual who assisted her patients and was well liked. She was in fact actually targeted by the clinic's owner for faulty procedures at the facility. And it is also good to mention, Saenz did not take the stand during her trial, as she felt she was railroaded by the clinic and would never inject bleach into a patient.
Wow.
However, prosecutors stated that she was a disgruntled employee who complained about specific patients, including some of those who died and or were injured. And in fact, investigators found searches on her computer about bleach poisoning in blood and whether bleach could be detected in dialysis lines.
On her computer?
On her computer.
Oh, wow.
Now, I didn't really say if it was her work computer or her home computer, but like they could pinpoint it to her. Her defense was she was concerned about patients' deaths and looked up bleach poisoning references to see if this what was happening and what would be the side effects. That's what she's going with. But like I said, she had a very checkered past, and although she swore by affidavit she had no felony record, we obviously know that to be a lie.
Right. So that's, you know, and I guess I could understand it if she was just looking up like bleach poisoning stuff, but to put in the search, can bleach be detected in dialysis lines? That's sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, you're not looking that up unless you're actively doing it.
Right. And then you already have 2 eyewitnesses that say, hey, we saw her do this. And then actually those 2 same witnesses ended up getting sick.
Really?
Yes. So it's kind of fishy there. And again, 84% of the time that these people got sick, she was around.
Right.
Like, you can't just, you can't ignore the facts. She was arrested on April 1st, 2009, is when they officially arrested her, which is a year later.
Right.
And the trial didn't begin until March 5th of 2012.
Okay.
Because obviously, I mean, we all kind of understand this. And those that don't, you know, it takes time to build up these trials.
Right.
Like, I can be arrested tomorrow doesn't mean my trial is going to be the next day or within the month or even within the year.
Right. And that's the thing about lawyers, and people don't understand that. They have to, so when a lawyer goes into a court of law, they are looking for irrefutable evidence.
Right.
And so it takes time.
Because the jury has to, without a doubt, like without a reasonable doubt, they have to convict.
If it's a murder charge like this, it has to be a unanimous consent.
Right.
So they are going to find every possible way to show the jury that this is irrefutable, that she did what she did.
Yeah, and only her. Like, it couldn't have been anybody else. Like,
so it takes a long time to get that process to happen.
On March 31st of 2012, she actually had a pretty, I'd say, relatively fast trial. March 5th to March 31st.
Yeah.
I mean, these things can go on,
months.
them trials themselves for months. But on March 31st, 2012, in Texas District Court, she was found guilty of 5 accounts of capital murder and 5 accounts of aggravated assault for those injured 5 patients.
Right.
That, luckily, she did not get to. So, with that, again, if you don't know law, just because you're sentenced that day or your verdict is out, like guilty or not guilty, that doesn't mean that you know right then and there what the penalties are. So, the sentencing was a little bit later. Right. Not too much. I mean, luckily, they didn't have a whole lot going on with this case to, you know, persuade them one way or the other. The prosecution was obviously looking for the death penalty.
Right.
which we have here in Texas.
Right.
And some people, it's one of those big debates on whether the death penalty is good or bad. Because some kind of see it as an eye for an eye, others see it as, yeah, but just because, and like it's not going to bring my loved one back.
Right.
So that's a debate for another time, another show.
We don't do those debates.
I'm just giving you facts that they were indeed seeking the death penalty. On April 2nd, 2012, she was sentenced. And the sentence was life in prison without the possibility of parole and a 20-year sentence for the aggravated assault. So
Three consecutive.
3 consecutive, right. So that is 60 years.
Yeah.
On top of the life without parole.
Yeah. So she's not getting out.
She is not getting out. I mean, I would say it'd take, God to even get her out, but I mean, not even, she's not getting out.
Right.
So she is currently, she is still alive. Kimberly is, which is more than we can say for her victims, but we're not going to go there. She is currently held in the Mountain View unit of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And as far as I know, I mean, obviously she's not living her best life, but she is living. This just, it got to me.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I am stuttering left and right. You've never really heard me stutter like this because, you put your loved ones in the care of these people. I mean, it doesn't even have to be like dialysis. It can be hospitals. It can be nursing homes. Like, you put your loved one in these people's caring arms, and they're supposed to care.
So it's actually kind of cool that you're doing this week, and I'll tell you why. And I want to go on record saying that, don't get this wrong. We love our EMS.
Right.
Because this week actually is EMS week.
Oh, how did you know that?
Yeah. In fact, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but we have an ambulance service. We have a guy that's near and dear to our heart that runs an ambulance service in our city, Mr. Jason. And
yes,
he
great
had
man.
He had the helicopter fly down onto his property.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that.
For EMS week.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. I mean, we put a lot of trust into these people to take care of our loved ones.
And we're not saying they're all bad. By no means are we saying they're all bad. Most of them, like, great people.
Yes.
They love what they do. They're compassionate. They do their job well. And I definitely could not do their job.
But I was looking at something on here, and so the daughter of Thelma Metcalf got on stand. I don't know if you saw this.
Yes.
And I'm going to quote her word for word. She said,
yes,
"You are nothing more than a psychopathic serial killer. I hope you burn in hell."
Yes.
And that's what she was. She was not a nurse. She was a serial killer.
Yes. Which is what we have to remember. And the thing that I want to point out is because most of the time when you hear of these stories, the focus is so much on the killer and not the victims. And I do want to say that, those families are hurting. They're probably still hurting, and they will always be hurting because their loved one is gone because this lady decided to do what she did.
Right.
Why she did it, I'm not going to speak for her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really read up on it. Maybe another podcast can tell you why, or another show or, interview that she may have done.
Right.
But, I mean, if you're guilty and you've done this, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear from the victims.
Right.
Like, I want to help them out.
Right.
But it's just crazy to me because, like I said, you go to these places expecting to get better. And, or you hear of your loved one going to these treatments and, hospitals and different places to get better. And then they don't come back.
Yeah.
Like, that just blows my mind. And then, you think about it, okay, well, maybe it was just, their body just couldn't handle it. And then to think, no, actually, it was someone poisoning them. Like, it's not bad enough that they're already sick, but now they're getting poisoned.
Yeah.
Like, it breaks my heart. It really does. This is the very first true crime. Kind of sad, which, I mean, all true crimes are. Unfortunately, there are always victims. But I just want to be the voice for the victims.
Right.
Let their story be told, that they're never forgotten. And, unfortunately, yes, we do have to talk about the killers. Because that's part of the story. So, I mean, I don't know I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, I've kind of told my story on it, how I feel, but I mean, I haven't really asked you what you're feeling over there. Or...
I mean, so I'm a in my idealism in my life, I'm a little bit harsher than most. Um, I have my viewpoints. I agree with you that I don't even care what this woman's name is. Um, I'm more focused on the victims and who she hurt. And if you're out there, we love you and we're praying for you. Um,
but I mean, I don't. Before we get too far, I also don't want to feel like we're just hating on her. Like her family is also hurting too.
Right.
Like her 2 children had to grow up without their mother because of this. So like, I'm not saying like screw her and her family. By no means am I saying that, because they are hurting just as equally. Because
I mean, I wasn't gonna say. All I was gonna say is she got caught, justice was served.
Right.
A jury.
Do you think it was the right justice? I mean, do you agree with the sentence? Do you actually think she should have gotten the death sentence?
That's what I was going to say, and it's not. It doesn't only apply to her. I believe, especially when it comes to capital murder, if you're found out and you're 100% guilty by an anonymous jury of your peers, I'm not going to sit you in jail. You're dead. Like that's how my mind in justice is served.
Right.
But that's just me. A lot of other people are different than me. But like I said, that's why I am not a judge. I'm not jury. She's been judged. She's been sentenced, and we have to deal with the verdict. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay.
But yes, it's horrible. Overall, this is a horrible thing. I hate that it happened.
Right.
And Godspeed to everybody involved, including, like you said, the 2 kids.
Yeah.
The
2 kids, even the husband. I mean, I don't even know his story. Like I said, I want to be respectful, and I didn't want to go too far. And like they're still living. They still have their lives.
Right.
Like they don't need to be brought up into this.
Right.
Like they don't need to be judged. He doesn't need to be judged based off of what his wife did. I mean, or ex-wife, shall I say? Like don't go judging. I mean, he might be just as bad. I don't know, but I'm saying don't go and get on to him. And it just started raining, which is kind of
it's it wouldn't be a ghost or a true crime or a ghost
right. Like this is the perfect snuggle weather to just sit down and listen to your favorite podcast.
Right.
But I mean, there's some other good ones. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I'm the best, but I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
But anyways, that is the story for today. If you do like these true crimes, definitely let me know if you have one that you think I should cover, because I'm trying to stay away from the mainstream ones. Like everybody knows about Waco, Texas, for example.
The Ramirez brothers.
Right. Like everybody knows those. I want to know the really unheard ones.
Right.
I mean, there's one here that's local that I haven't really talked to the family that much. It's one I have to talk to her and see if she'll willing to kind of let me cover it.
Yeah.
But I want to hear those kind of stories.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear the mainstream. I'll cover them maybe on the side or something, but we're here for the victims.
And if you have a story like that, how can they reach out to you?
You can reach out to me on so many social medias.
Yeah.
I am like social media queen over here. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are all at HTT Listen Closely. You can reach out to me on any of those platforms. You can also email me, httlistenclosely@gmail.com, as well as our main media group email, which is httsilsby@gmail.com.
Right.
Or their Facebook, which is So Here's the Thing.
Right.
Which is at HTT Silsby?
Yes.
Okay, want to make sure.
And for all you that are listening locally, I know it would mean a lot to her because we actually had this happen yesterday. So if you're around and you see Miss Bobby or you see me, let us know. Say, hey, I love the podcast. I love what y'all are doing. Like it's awesome. We had a girl come up to us and tell us that, and it's just really cool that that happened.
Which shout out to you. I don't. Unfortunately, my husband did not get your name.
Yes, I didn't.
Or he doesn't remember it because he's got a really bad memory. So I do apologize for my husband.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for stopping him and letting us know that you love the show.
Yeah.
So this is kind of your shout out. I'm sorry I don't know your name, but you know who you are, and I really, really do appreciate it.
In fact, because you did that, I'll tell you what. Because she says she listens to every episode.
Ooh.
So since you did that, come see me sometimes, and I'm going to give you a $15 gift card to a local coffee shop here.
All right.
So there you go.
And she knows the coffee shop?
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. This is your test. Don't fail me. I need you to like tomorrow when this airs, so Saturday. Oh, they're closed Sunday, huh? The coffee shop.
They're closed
Monday.
Monday.
I need you to be there and be like, hey, I'm here to see John.
Yeah.
And then you just make this eye contact, y'all got this.
There you go.
But anyways, thank you so much for doing that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And if you're not local and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave me 5 stars and a review. That would mean so much to me. Or if you're on any of my social medias, leave a comment. I love to see comments. You can say, hey, I love your show, or hey, cover this, or hey, you can work on maybe doing this. I understand. Right. I do say a lot.
Yes.
I say so a lot. I understand this. I say a lot. So definitely leave me some feedback. I am by no means upset. Or if you want to say, hey,
that producer back there could edit the show a little better. I mean, you can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, whatever
we
maybe.
need to work on.
Or hey, y'all are doing great. Keep it up. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, we're open for anything.
Right. Yeah.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I need you to just do one thing, and that's listen closely.